Hello, this is Good Morning Transfers. Yoane Wissa vents his fury at Brentford as the forward tries to force a move to Newcastle, but will he get his way? Less than 2 weeks to go in the window, and Jadon Sancho is still a Manchester United player. Roma are keen on him, but is he keen on them? Tottenham want to sign Eberechi Eze, but they may have to wait for Palace to find his replacement first. We'll look at what Spurs might look like with him in the squad. And Sunderland have signed 12 players, spent over £160 million, and they aren't done yet, with a defender on the verge of joining. Napoli have identified Man United forward Rasmus Højlund as a potential striker target to cover for the injured Romelu Lukaku. That's according to Sky in Italy. All right, very good morning to you. Good morning to Rob Earnshaw, looking as sharp as ever, and the UK's foremost Russell Martin impersonator, Michael Bridge, back in, looking very Russell Martin-esque. He's back to do his day job today, though. Let's start with the ongoing situation around Yoane Wissa, then, who remains angry that a transfer to Newcastle from Brentford is still not materialised, and he's deleted all traces of his current club from his social media. He believes the club is being difficult, and the move Wissa made yesterday in deleting all traces of Brentford from his social media was a representation of his current stance. Well, Newcastle have been expected to move again for Wissa, despite Brentford's club record signing of Dango Ouattara giving no guarantees he would be sold, but it's not come yet. Crucially, there's been no new contact between Newcastle and Brentford so far this week, and there is no new bid on the table as things stand. Right, let's get into this. Interesting move, Rob, from Wissa. Is this really going to fast forward his desperate move that he wants to get to Newcastle?
Deleting all his stuff?
Yeah.
No. I mean, my first thought was, come on, this is childish. Deleting all the Instagram stuff, pictures, his history with the club, it's just childish. Let's face it. I tell you what's happened. There's been a conversation. Brentford have made it hard for him, maybe asking too much or what he feels is too much of a price tag. And he's got very frustrated with that. And he's gone in one afternoon and just lost his mind for a little bit for a couple of hours. And that's what's happened probably. But I tell you, I will say this, though. This guy, Wissa, I think he's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think he's an excellent player. Any team would be, I think, brilliant to have him. It would be, I think he would add so much. He would add goals. And this guy scored over 20 goals last season. So Wissa is a great player, excellent player. I just think he's had a moment of frustration. He's gone to his social media and lost it for a few seconds.
Oh, this is the Sun's back page. Kind of get used to this sort of behaviour this window from players, aren't we? Wissa does and Isak, and there are real similarities between the two in terms of how they're behaving. Do you think, Rob, that he would only really behave like this if he was getting some assurances that Newcastle will make another bid, even though it's not come?
Yeah, I mean, going off what I just said just now, the other side of it, from his point of view, what's happened also is I would assume there has been the discussion. Clearly, there's been a discussion because if you rewind back a few weeks, Wissa left the squad a couple of times because there was a move on the card. But the reason is because he's probably had those conversations and they've said, listen, we want this, Brentford, to him. If we get this and we get a replacement for you, you can go. And I think maybe there's been a miscommunication or a frustration there, not meeting the terms there, and he's frustrated. But I'll tell you, what's happening here is Brentford almost, I think, put in a position where if Wissa leaves Brentford, goes to Newcastle, maybe it opens up the Isak deal to Liverpool. So there's a few things kind of going on. Ouattara, of course, just came in to Brentford. And I think because Wissa saw Ouattara come in, he's thought, OK, you've got a replacement. We can now make our deal possible. And I think they're not making that deal possible right now.
Yeah, Brentford have actually said that Ouattara is really Mbeumo's replacement, which is interesting. They want to get another one in for Wissa. The thing is, Michael, he's not the only player in this situation, is he? There are other players, particularly at Crystal Palace, who are in this situation, but they're behaving in a different manner.
Yep. Look, Crystal Palace and the relationship with Eberechi Eze and Crystal Palace is fantastic. I mean, he was phenomenal. Huge central part of Crystal Palace making history, winning that FA Cup. qualifying for Europe. Yes, it is now the Conference League, but I'm telling you, they're going to embrace it. They've got to get on with it now and enjoy being in Europe because they've got a superb manager. And with Marc Guehi, like we've reported all summer here, he's quite relaxed. Now, it was Steve Parish in the mix zone after the Community Shield final where you got the impression that they would be happy to negotiate because a club like Palace, who are so well run, they do ever so well in the transfer market, but you can't allow Marc Guehi to leave on a free. He's such a good player.
But compared to the Wissa situation, in terms of how Guehi and Eze are behaving?
Oh, absolutely, because there was talk on Saturday night that Eze was not going to feature against Chelsea, and you can understand it as the talks continue between Spurs and Chelsea, but it's relationships, and Eze and Guehi have good relationships with their club at the moment.
Yeah, and they're not kicking off. They're continuing to play. We saw that on the weekend.
Absolutely.
Yeah, big difference. Right, obviously this all relates to Isak as well, doesn't it? Because Wissa is not the only player that's not playing for their club at the minute. Isak is yet to return to first-team training as he seeks to move away. But as things stand, with less than 2 weeks to go, there have been no further developments, no further Liverpool bid. Michael, why haven't Liverpool come back in with another bid?
The answer is simple. They know Newcastle won't sell unless they have a replacement. And that's why this could go on for some time. It could even go on right until the very end. We know Newcastle's stance. We know Eddie Howe's stance, and he's been very thorough about this. Unless they bring in a replacement, Alexander Isak isn't going anywhere. And you probably maybe put it around 50-50 now. There's no guarantees. Newcastle must bring in a replacement. And many Newcastle fans were saying at the weekend, look, Villa, Newcastle, they seem to play each other first game of the season every year. But they probably missed that striker. They missed that out-and-out striker. So it doesn't seem to be any reason why Liverpool will be going back in at the moment, despite the strained relations.
Could the good start by Ugo Ekitike in both Community Shield pre-season and in that first game, could that persuade Liverpool not to go back in for Isak?
I don't think so. I think Liverpool have planned previously. Ekitike comes in, he's in. They've already got Gakpo, they've already got Salah. Salah plays. Ekitike now is putting himself in a position that he's trustworthy, scored goals, was brilliant the last couple of games. And I think Ekitike is going to play anyway. I just think that Liverpool planned that Ekitike will play. And even if Isak comes in, he doesn't replace Ekitike. I think there's just going to be a front four. And that front four is Gakpo, Ekitike, Salah, and then possibly Isak. And then it'll be 3 out of 4 that play. So I think Liverpool are well aware that Ekitike is quality and will be involved. It's just, if Isak comes in, it's just going to be a great front four.
Yeah. Is there also a danger that the way that Isak and Wissa have both behaved, and it is very similar, isn't it, that the club's supporters that they're going to might just be a bit wary about them when they arrive in terms of how they behave? Well, they've done that there. They could do that at our club as well. Yeah,
and do you know what? I think sometimes we maybe don't see the other side of it in terms of, yes, they've behaved in a way of frustration and demanding to the club, but this happens all the time. And gone are the days of the club tell the player everything what to do. You're going here, and if you don't go here, you'll even train with the kids. Although it's gone. I think the player power has come into play that players understand their value to the club, and they can go in and have a conversation. And sometimes, in these cases, same as Isak, I'm sure, same as Wissa, they've gone into the office and said, listen, I thought this was what we were looking for. You've got replacements. What are you going to ask for? Okay, we can ask for this. If that happens, okay, we can make a deal. And these business conversations, what's happening? And I think also the player has the right to have that power to go to the club because, yes, he signed a contract. Yes, there's a business deal there. But at times, that business deal starts to move away and say, listen, I would like to go here. Let's make a deal.
You've had a lot of clubs. Have you always behaved? You've had a lot of clubs.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. But I tell you, the same. There's been times where I'm saying to the club, listen, I want to move on. I've been in that position. I think when I left West Brom, I decided, I think I put a transfer request in because I wasn't happy. Not because of the club, not because of the fans, but because I was frustrated at game playing time. Yeah. And I was like, well, listen, there's goals here. Do you want 20 goals or not? Because I'll take it here. If I play, no problem. It's here. But if it's not, I'm afraid I'm going to have to move on. And that was my conversation. Because the player has the right to do that. Because I think the key thing is, especially with Wissa, especially with Isak, they feel like they could go to that next level because of their ages. Wissa, I think, is 28. Isak is 26.
Yeah.
I feel like they look at the next 5 years. The next 5 years, the next move is the big one. So there's a bit of frustration there because of that.
Well done also for not rising to him there. He was trying to poke you there, so just return him. How dare you, Michael?
I always behave. What are we talking about?
But you mentioned a very good point, transfer request. That's not really happening much in football at the moment. You used to get it all the time, players handing in transfer requests where you lose bonuses, whatnot. So it was really.
So is that why it doesn't happen then? Because players don't want to miss out?
Well, agents lose out, players lose out on certain bonuses and loyalty scheme. So it's really interesting to hear you say those words, transfer requests. I've not heard it for quite a while.
Yeah, oh, we might hear it, you never know. OK, let's move on to Manchester United. And several clubs in Italy are interested in signing Rasmus Højlund. AC Milan sporting director Iglitare said that Rasmus Højlund is a good option as they push to sign the striker in this window. But, Michael, they are not the only Italian club that are interested in Højlund.
Well, look, this is potentially good news for Manchester United because now we know that Napoli have identified Rasmus Højlund as a potential target after news yesterday of Romelu Lukaku's injury. Now, this is according to our colleagues in Italy. Now, Lukaku could be out for at least 3 months with a thigh problem. I cannot begin to imagine what Antonio Conte is now saying to the Napoli board. Well, there's a few things we know here now. One is that we didn't know all summer that Rasmus Højlund's future under Ruben Amorim. He did pretty well in pre-season, Rasmus Højlund. However, doesn't seem to matter anymore. Didn't feature in their final pre-season game against Fiorentina. Didn't feature against Arsenal. So he is part of those players now who aren't required anymore. So now, is it a perfect time for Manchester United? They see interest from Napoli and, of course, from AC Milan. You do feel that he's heading back to Serie A, where we know he's done ever so well in the past.
Yeah, they do. They rate him there, don't they, in Italy? He wasn't part of the matchday squad against Arsenal. I know he said before, I want to stay and fight for my place. But if you're in his position and you see that you're not involved in the matchday squad in the first big game of the season, do you then start thinking, my time here might be up?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. I think him not being involved at all, not even off the bench, and not even involved in the matchday squad, that kills your confidence, to be honest with you. I think the biggest thing for Højlund and Ruben Amorim and Manchester United is the conversation that is, and I think I would be very clear. It would depend on this conversation. If I'm Højlund, I'm going to the manager and say, listen, how much have you got planned for me this year? Am I on the bench? If I am, no problem. For me, I think Højlund stays there. If he has some kind of guarantee saying he's going to be involved. I wonder if the conversation has been, no, you're kind of, we need you to move on. If that's the conversation, then he has to move on, for sure. But for me, I think he's a young man, 22. I think he's got so much more to learn. I would do it at Manchester United because I think it's a great place right now with the quality players they've brought in. I think it's a perfect place for him to develop and continue his development.
He's not going to play very much.
The key is people sometimes, yes, you look at playing time, but if Cunha, Mbumo, Bruno Fernandes, Šeško is coming, you've got great players every single day you're learning off. Because sometimes the value is, forget the playing time, the value is I have 1 year maybe sometimes of, you've got to look at it in terms of my development. If I spend time with these 4 players around here every single day, am I going to be better in 6 months or a year's time? Yes. Is that going to be a better value than me going somewhere else and I'm maybe not as playing with the quality, high world-class level of these 4? Maybe your development is right there at Manchester United and you've got to take the time and push because what that might bring is you raise your level to where they are and then you get in the team.
OK. Well, meanwhile, Roma are not giving up on a potential deal for Manchester United forward Jadon Sancho. That's according to Sky in Italy. Michael, yesterday we said that personal terms weren't an issue, but that Sancho wanted to explore other options other than Roma. So just bring us up to speed where we are with Sancho and what those possible options might be.
This is interesting because we're told that it had nothing to do with personal terms. So does he have another option? We know the Besiktas fans would love to have him. Didn't stay at Chelsea last season. got the feeling that maybe Manchester United would consider that 20 million bid. We know there's absolutely no future under Ruben Amorim. So, a bit of a surprise, I've got to be honest with you, Matt, when I heard that he didn't want to join Roma, but the fact that they're not giving up, so maybe there's a bit more to this over the next few days.
Yeah, just a quick line from you on that, Rob. Do you think Sancho possibly looking at Marcus Rashford's move to Barcelona and thinking, well, if he's going to Barcelona, maybe I can get a big move as well?
Understandably so, yeah. I mean, he's a quality player. We saw it at Borussia Dortmund, and we've seen him that he can do it. And I think he's looking at it and thinking, OK, there's another couple of weeks left of the transfer window. What's the best club that I can go to? Roma, yes, maybe they might still come back in. That still might be a discussion. But Roma's a great club, by the way. So,
yeah.
And
Big
I can
club.
see him there. So I think he's waiting out.
OK, right, we'll wait and see how that pans out. We seem to be talking about Jadon Sancho a lot in these transfer windows. Let's just bring you some breaking news this morning. Morecambe's new ownership group, Punjab Warriors, have made their first moves in charge of the club. After sacking Derek Adams yesterday evening, they've announced that former Wigan coach Ashfal Singh Johal will be installed as the club's new manager. Singh Johal makes history as the first British Asian manager in the top 5 divisions. He will take charge of his first game against Altrincham this Saturday. So Morecambe have a new manager and they are making some history in the process. It is Ashfal Singh Johal. Right, stay with us. We will be live to Crystal Palace's training ground after the break. Plus, is Pep Guardiola getting his wish? We have a couple of updates on some departures at Manchester City. Welcome back to Good Morning Transfers. As we know, there are less than 2 weeks left in the window. Will Crystal Palace lose both Eberechi Eze and Marc Guehi? Well, we can cross live to the club's training ground now. Speak to our reporter, Gary Cottrell. First question, Gary, you haven't got a parking ticket, have you? We saw you sweet-talking a parking warden in the break.
I know, she let me off down here at the training ground. Between 8 and 9:30, you have to pay to park. Literally, the training ground's there, my car's there. She came over, she said, oh, there's only 10 minutes or so to go, I'll let you off. So, yeah, there are some good ones out there.
Good. Some good PR for all those parking wardens out there watching. Gary, I tell you what, you got a bit more out of her than you got out of Eberechi Eze, didn't you, on the weekend? But you tried your hardest.
You're good at this, aren't you? Yeah, very good. No, I did try. Yeah, listen, it was really interesting to watch him at Stamford Bridge at the end of the game on Sunday. He, at the final whistle, spent a long time speaking to his England teammates in the Chelsea side. And then as his Crystal Palace teammates were waving to the very noisy, very loud, as always, Crystal Palace contingent at Stamford Bridge in the shed end, he was doing that. Then as his teammates had already left, he went over to say hello, wave, thank you. Potentially, we thought in the press box goodbye, because he spent a long time over there with the Crystal Palace fans. So obviously eyebrows were raised. And then, even though he was last to leave the pitch, he was the first to leave the dressing rooms. He came out of the dressing room very quickly, came down the steps, got into the Crystal Palace team bus, then quickly got off the bus again with a brown paper bag, which I'm sure had an apple, a sandwich and some energy juice in it. Went back into the dressing room, spent some time on the telephone, then came back out, got on the bus again, then got off the bus again, and then left on foot Stamford Bridge with a security guard and a teammate into the evening air of West London. I did attempt, as you say, to try and have a word with him. I didn't get much out of him. I got a wink, I got a nod, I got a thumbs up. When I asked him the question, are you going to Spurs? Completely blanked me, which is fair enough. And I think the reason is that he doesn't know himself. He can't say himself if he doesn't yet know. He knows, of course, there's interest, and we know there's interest, and we know negotiations are going on. But there doesn't seem to be any agreement yet. And until there is, I'm sure he doesn't want to say anything. And by the way, very, very differently to what you've been talking about with Wissa and his social media account, Eze's social media account, after that game at Stamford Bridge, after we saw him leaving and walking towards an unknown engagement in West London, he posted on Instagram a photo of himself in a Crystal Palace kit in action at Stamford Bridge. So quite the opposite in terms of his behaviour, both in terms of training, playing and in social media to Wissa and, of course, to a certain extent, Isak in Newcastle.
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it, how they've been very different in their approaches, the likes of Eze, the likes of Wissa, the likes of Isak as well. What is the club's stance on this with Eze?
Well, all the cards are in their hands. As I say, he is absolutely professional. He's showing respect. He's got respect for what Crystal Palace have done for him. He's got respect for the process that's been going through. He is playing. They've got a day off today, by the way, the whole squad, so we won't see him either turning up or not turning up, but for sure, when he is due to turn up, and that's tomorrow to prepare for that playoff game, that Conference League playoff game on Thursday, he'll be here, he'll be training hard, he'll be prepared to start. And Oliver Glasner said at that news conference on Sunday that he expects him to play. It would be a surprise perhaps if him and a few of the other big names didn't play, because that is the nature of the Conference League, but he'll be available to play and will be in the squad unless, of course, this deal can be signed, sealed and delivered before then, which it doesn't seem like it's going to be. As I say, the card's very much in the hands of Crystal Palace. They know he's got 2 years left on his contract. That clause that he had, that release clause that he had for around 68 million, if you include add-ons, that has now expired. But the club is still looking for that kind of figure. And of course, we know that Steve Parish is a tough negotiator, just like Daniel Levy. So it could be a little way to run in this one yet. So don't be surprised if you do see him pulling on a Crystal Palace shirt at some point on Thursday night.
And what about Marc Guehi? He started as well on the weekend, and this is a big decision for Palace, isn't it? Do they cash in now and get something for Guehi, or risk losing him on a free in the summer?
Well, again, they won't be bullied. They've proven that time and time again, Crystal Palace. They're not going to be told what to do or made to roll over by the so-called big boys. They proved it, didn't they, 12 months ago with Marc Guehi and that Newcastle interest. They wanted 60 million. Newcastle didn't come up with 60 million, and the deal, despite us all thinking that in the end it would happen, didn't happen. He stayed, he played, and he's carried on playing. Much like his teammate Eze, he was fully involved in the match on Sunday. He's fully involved in training. He's making himself fully available. He, we understand, only wants Liverpool. There is other interest. We know Newcastle again, potentially Chelsea as well, but he only wants Liverpool. A year left, as you say, on his contract. The price now being quoted is around 40 million that Crystal Palace will only accept, and no one's come up with that amount of money yet. And so, if you think Crystal Palace are going to behave the way Crystal Palace always behave, it won't happen until their valuation is met. Listen, they've got a good squad of players. They're in Europe. They want to do well in the Premier League. They're the FA Cup holders. They just beat Liverpool in the Community Shield. 10 games unbeaten, Crystal Palace, with this set of players, including victories at Wembley against the likes of Aston Villa, Liverpool, Manchester City, including being unbeaten away from home at Arsenal, at Tottenham. And so while they're getting results like that, they'll do everything they can to keep this squad together unless the price is right.
I've got a feeling Eze might be teasing you, Gary. He might just pop out of his car in a minute and then get back in and drive off. But keep your eyes open. He's not there, don't worry. Right, OK, let's talk about Spurs and Eze then. And I take no pleasure in saying this whatsoever, Rob, but does it feel like a very good fit for both the player and the club, Eze at Spurs?
Oh, absolutely. You can see him in that white kit. You can see him just making his magic. And I think any team in the Premier League would be absolutely delighted to have Eze. I think he can play in any single team. He can fit in any squad. The type of player he is, his magic that he brings, and also his confidence. He's a player which I love what he does, because you give him, he wants the ball and you give him the ball, and he's going to produce things that are absolutely world class. But him to Spurs, I think, would be a great bit of business.
Yeah. We don't like getting Michael too excited, but we're going to anyway. Shall we, Bridgie, shall we look at how Spurs potentially could line up with their 11 if Eze comes?
Yeah, Spurs have started pretty well. They played 3 at the back against PSG in the Super Cup final. Thomas Frank made a couple of changes in midfield. He reverted to the back 4. I've put Jed Spence there. Destiny Udogie will play there as well when fit, but Spence has been brilliant the first few games. He's got a new contract. Romero, new contract. João Palhinha, I think, is a really good signing for Spurs. Season-long loan. Sarr's been brilliant so far. Now, Eze will be there. Terrible injury to James Maddison. That is such a blow for him and the football club. Mo Kudus, again, was excellent on Saturday. Now, the left side, Wilson Odobert, they played Brennan Johnson there on Saturday, scored, but he's more comfortable on the right. So I think if Spurs can get Eze, they'll look to get a left winger as well. We know they like Savino from Manchester City. And maybe they might get another centre-half there as well, maybe. But that side's free, I feel. But, yeah, that's where Eze would go. And it's looking like a decent side.
Excellent side. And there's a couple of injuries that are not there as well. Let's not forget.
Yeah.
Solanke came on as well. So I think if Eze comes in, you're going to have a real selection problem. But excellent selection problem.
And what I must say very quickly as well, like, we talk about, like, where's this player going to fit at Liverpool? Where's this player going to fit at Newcastle? Where's this player going to fit at Tottenham? They're in Europe. They're in the Champions League. This new format, there's so many games. You need a big squad.
Yeah, we do. And I must say that does look good for Spurs fans with him in there. Right, I tell you what, Man City, we know that Pep Guardiola last season said he wanted less numbers in his squad, and it sounds like City are getting busy in terms of outgoings. We've got some breaking news for you. Wrexham are close to agreeing a deal for the Manchester City centre-back Callum Doyle. It's understood a deal worth up to £8 million is being discussed by the clubs. Doyle spent last season on loan at Norwich. Staying with City, Borussia Dortmund have made an offer to loan Claudio Echeverri for the season. Dortmund's offer includes an option to buy Echeverri, but it's not clear whether City are open to that idea. And Middlesbrough will complete the signing of Sverre Nipan on loan from Manchester City this morning. City signed the Norway teenager from Rosenborg this summer in a deal worth £12.5 million. So there are some outgoings on the cards for Manchester City. Thanks very much, Tom. Time now for a transfer update. Yoane Wissa remains angry that a transfer to Newcastle from Brentford has still not materialised. He's deleted all traces of his current club from his social media. Crystal Palace want to line up a replacement for Eberechi Eze before they consider selling him to Tottenham. Napoli have identified Man United forward Rasmus Højlund as a potential striker target to cover for the injured Romelu Lukaku. That's according to Sky in Italy. Roma are not giving up on a potential deal for Man United forward Jadon Sancho. Roma have also reached an agreement with Aston Villa to sign Leon Bailey on loan. Fenerbahce are in talks over the signing of West Ham midfielder Edson Alvarez. The deal being discussed is a loan which includes an option to buy. Gianluigi Donnarumma is being valued at between £34.5 million and £43.1 million, with 1 year left on his Paris Saint-Germain contract. Sunderland have made an offer to Bologna for the defender John Lukumi, and Birmingham City are interested in signing the former Arsenal and Liverpool midfielder Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Don't forget, you can keep across all the latest information as it happens on our dedicated Transfer Centre blog. It's very easy to get there. You just scan the QR code that's on your screen right now. OK, we've got a bit of breaking transfer news from Wolves. They have bolstered their defensive options with the signing of right-back Jackson Chachua from the Serie A side Hellas Verona on a 5-year deal. So Wolves have signed Jackson Chachua from Hellas Verona. It was a great night for Leeds last night as they got their season off to a winning start after 2 seasons away from the Premier League. Despite their success, though, manager Daniel Farke has called upon the club to press on in the transfer market, particularly in the forward areas.
Do you feel you perhaps need a few more, though, to add a bit more quality as we go into the season now?
Yes, like I mentioned, especially in the offense, would be good to have a few more options available. Thank God, with Dominic, we got the first one, and pretty soon he will also be involved. I'm quite sure. But like I mentioned before, we are ready for 1, 2, perhaps 3 good Premier League games, and I'm glad that we reward ourselves today with 3 points. But to be ready for a long Premier League season, we definitely need a bit more quality up front.
And how confident are you that you can get that quality? Because it feels as if you can get that, you could be in for a special season.
Yes, on this level you never know, because to bring players in who improve our squad is also pretty costly and expensive. But it's not just about the sum of money, but it's more like you have to spend it wisely. That's what we're also trying to do. But I know that everyone is also desperately working behind the scenes to bring a few more signings in, and for that I'm quite confident.
Well, one new signing could be AC Milan's Noah Okafor. The fee under discussion for the forward, who can play across the whole front line, is £13 million. And Rob, he's another one that's over 6 foot. I think he's about 6'1" or something like that, Okafor. He's signed some big players. It's very clear what Farke's plan is to stay in the Premier League.
Yeah, well, they've clearly identified that, OK, our Premier League, I guess, philosophy this year is going to be about signing people with a profile. The profile is clearly height.
Giants.
Yeah.
It's like WWE.
Yeah. Is going to be height, But I think obviously they're getting that. But I mean, when you look at that, how many players over 6 foot is
only
incredible.
one under 6 foot. That's extraordinary, isn't it? Of all the signings.
Yeah. And he might be able to jump over 6 foot as well, so he'll be fine.
Probably.
But you look at Leeds signings, they've clearly gone physical. Physical in terms of height, number one, that's the player profile. But I tell you, maybe the other side of it, I think you need the match winners. Not so much just everything is going to be about height, because it's not going to be about that. Like you saw last night, they were okay, but they were missing that creativity. The people like Pirlo, I think he's a quality player.
Yeah.
But somebody who is nowhere near 6 foot, people like Nonto, they're going to be match winners. They're going to be the ones who dribble and pull those big guys out of position and create something out of nothing. I think the speed and the sharpness and the intelligence and the low center of gravity, I think that's going to be the big difference, because that's what they were missing last night, even though they won.
Yeah.
And you wonder how much Daniel Farke's learned from his time in the Premier League manager at Norwich. 6 wins in 49. That was his 50th Premier League match yesterday. And of course, there was talk soon after Leeds' promotion that they were going to replace Daniel Farke. So quite the turnaround.
Yeah, very different situation, isn't it, though, with Norwich? He's been backed, hasn't he, in terms of money this time around. We're going to go through the papers after the break. We've got some interesting stories, actually, in the papers. Could Jamie Vardy be heading to Celtic? And what about Raheem Sterling? Where will he end up? We'll talk about both of those. On a move to Celtic and an emotional reunion with Brendan Rodgers as he targets playing on until he is 40. That would be incredible, wouldn't it? In the Daily Telegraph, they say that Chelsea are prepared to consider loan proposals for Raheem Sterling as they attempt to secure the exits of 8 more players before the transfer window shuts in 2 weeks. We'll get on to Vardy in a minute, gents, but let's start with Sterling. Where is he going to end up? Could a Premier League club come in for him? What are the barriers to that?
He's got a couple of options. If he goes abroad, MLS, Saudi, whatever, yes, you could do that. They'll have to sign him. I think he can only end up in a loan deal, to be honest with you, because of his contract, because of the demands. But it's a quality player who's done it in the Premier League. He's done it for years. So consistency is there. Is he a dribbler? Yes. He's very sharp, very good. Is he a difference maker in terms of like that end product? Yes, he's done it for years. So he would be a quality player and almost the forgotten man in a certain way. But I think he still would be a great addition for a Premier League team.
Not quite as old as Jamie Vardy, though, is he? We do understand that even though there is that Sun story linking Vardy with a return to Brendan Rodgers and to go to Celtic, that there haven't been actually any discussions yet or any contact between Celtic and Vardy. But do you like this move? If it would have happened, do you think it would work?
Well, I wanted to see him at Rangers at the start of the summer.
Because you're Russell Martin.
Well, to be fair to Russell Martin, he has said all along. Look, my Russell, he has said all along he only wants players who don't want to consider, I want to join Rangers. That is it. Like Mikey Moore, he had a lot of options to leave Tottenham on loan. He wanted to join. All I will say is, what side of Glasgow Jamie Vardy would end up joining, wow. I cannot wait to watch it, because you know he loves the wind-up. Like, every time he's got an away ground, Palace away, he does the Eagle and all that, so he'll be great fun. And, of course, I'm sure he's kept himself fully fit over the last few... I'm just a little bit surprised he's not made the move yet, but, of course, he'll have a great relationship with Brendan Rodgers as well, so that'd be a really intriguing move.
Yeah, I agree. It'd be great to see him carry on playing wherever that is, and up in the Scottish Premiership. That'd be brilliant too. Now, this surely has to be one of the best transfer windows we've seen in recent times, hasn't it? Premier League clubs have spent more than £2.36 billion on signing this summer. The record spent, by the way, in a single window was around 2.46 billion, which was in the summer of 2023. So as things stand, we're just over £100 million away from breaking that record. So we do expect that to be broken. That could be broken, for example, with just one Alexander Isak signing, if that happens. Clubs in the top flight have also, by the way, generated more than 1.3 billion in sales. The previous record was nearly 1.5 billion, and that was set last summer, so we could break the record for sales as well. Arguably, Michael Bridge, is this the best transfer window we've ever seen?
Oh, it's been really fun, hasn't it? Because you've got Liverpool, who didn't do much last season, really going for it, adding so many new players, spending a lot of money. They'll be telling me as well, they've recouped a lot of money as well. You've got Manchester City, sort of a new era, that first transfer window. Chelsea had that Club World Cup transfer window as well. We've got a new look Manchester United. Spurs have had to do stuff. Arsenal have finally got their striker. So that's the so-called Big Six. And then you've got the promoted sides really going for it as well. So, but it's not over yet. We've got loads still to do.
Yet. You're right. And I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks because I think it's going to heat up. We're going to break that big record for sure. And it'll be interesting to see the big moves because it's going to go down to the wire. There's still some big moves to come for sure.
Yeah, there are. What is interesting so far, though, it's been a real theme, is that the traditional Big Six, you mentioned it there, they've all spent big, haven't they? Usually one or two clubs haven't really spent, and we tend to talk about them a lot. This time, not the case. They all have. Is that a bit worrying for the rest of the league?
Not really. In terms of, I think, the quality that they brought in, yes, absolutely. But I think this is the first transfer window with 2 windows, not forget. One before the Club World Cup, one after. And also, I think the other thing, which I don't like, is this PSR, because I think PSR is making clubs force, the sales of especially young players that have come through homegrown players that have come through the academy. So I don't like that. And I don't think it works. That's not the way to set teams up and bring in their best players, because we want some of the young players come through the academy, play in the first team for 10, 15 years. We want that opportunity, but I think PSR is stopping that with football clubs. Yeah. But you look at the most expensive signings here. I mean, some of these world-class players, which I love that they've made the move and also making the impression. Wirtz was very good. Ekitike is shined straight away. Šeško, we're still yet to see. Bumo, again, at first game, still yet to see. Gyökeres, I think he'll come good. I think he's a quality player.
Pick one of those, Rob. One of those on the list that you think is going to be the biggest and the best signing this window.
I'm going to go for it because I'm a big fan. Cunha.
Right.
I think he's going to be top. I think we're going to see in the next couple of years that he's going to become world class because he's not afraid of the moment. He's completely fearless. Old Trafford, no problem. Well, I love his game, his dribbling, his ability to see things and handle the pressure and also want the ball, by the way. There was a moment where he almost scored one of the goals of the season when he went on a dribble in the Arsenal game and he just got tired at the end of it. But that is a sign of what's to come.
Yeah, he's box office, isn't he? It's not just the Big Six, though, is it, that have spent money. Sunderland have really attacked the transfer window. And this remarkable transfer window goes on and on. They've made an offer to Bologna for the defender John Lukumi. His £24 million release clause has recently expired, so Sunderland can negotiate. Could be getting in another defender. What did you make of them the first weekend of the season? And what did you make of their new signings?
Oh, sorry.
Sunderland.
Sunderland.
Yeah. Not Bologna.
Do you know what? Very impressive. I think I had Sunderland to go down, to be honest with you. But I was happy what they got. Mayenda, I thought he's impressive, scored. Adingra, by the way, was very good at Brighton. Yeah. Great catch. Xhaka. I love Xhaka. I think... Let's not sleep on Xhaka thinking, he went out of the league. He went up a higher, 2 or 3 levels higher since he left the Premier League. So they've got a great signing.
I said on the transfer show the other week, I think he gives Sunderland 8 to 12 points. I rate Xhaka that highly, genuinely. I think it's a brilliant signing. Captain already.
Very quickly, Bridgie, which teams really need to spend in the remaining couple of weeks?
Fulham, Brentford, West Ham.
Agree?
I agree, totally. Yeah, I think they need to. And I think there's going to be a few teams there. I mean, you look at Burnley, you look at, I think even Manchester United. I think they need to add.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure lots of teams will be busy. We're going to break that record. Rob, great to see you. Russell, good to see you as well.